The story of pop.
And it was all like these pretty boy types, which I'm just a rugged sort of fella myself.
Why do you call that noise that you put on? This is pop, yeah, yeah. This is pop, yeah, yeah. This is pop, yeah, yeah. This is...
Greetings, everyone. This is Alan Freeman with the BBC's Story of Pop. Part 8. Teenagers in Love.
Hold it! Something's missing.
A teenage idol, man. You have a teenage idol.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, wait here. I'll get one. Hey, kid!
Who, me?
Yeah, can you sing?
No.
Good, come with me. Say, where were you going just now?
I was on my way to high school.
Perfect. Kid, you're gonna be a big record star.
Ooh.
Hey, that's good, too. Throw that in. Now, here we go.
Some people call me a teenage idol. Some people say they envy me. I guess they've got no way of knowing how lonesome I can be. How lonesome I can be.
Ricky Nelson, suffering for his art, opens our look at the teen idols of the late 1950s and early 60s, and the songwriters and producers who propelled their puppets to stardom, including Phil Spector, Jerry Goffin, Carole King, Ellie Greenwich, Jeff Barry, Permerson Schumann, and Lieber and Stoller.
Hey, by the way, what's your name?
Clyde Ankle.
Perfect.
But I can't sing.
Well, what's that got to do with anything? You got all the requirements. A pretty face and a pompadour.
Oh, boy.
Now, you're gonna go 3 nights a week for finger snapping lessons.
Ooh, I've wanted to do that as long as I've been in showbiz.
Hey, wait a second. How long you been in showbiz?
About a minute and a half.
At the turn of the 1940s, Frank Sinatra and Perry Como had been the teen idols of their day. But by the late 50s, with Elvis in the army and the first frantic rush of energy from rock and roll beginning to wane, the Backroom Boys came out of hiding and filled the void with parent-friendly purveyors of perfectly crafted pop songs straight off the front porches of Middle America. Dion DiMucci, fresh from the Bronx, wasn't sure the music fitted his tough image, but he soon learned to play the game.
Love you like I do.
I just finished recruiting some guys from my neighborhood and named them the Belmonts, and we came off a hit called I Wonder Why. And the company, the Schwartz brothers, loved this record by Ricky Nelson, Poor Little Fool.
I used to play around with hearts, hasten at my call. But when I met that little girl, I knew that I would fall. Poor little fool. Oh yeah, I was a fool. Poor little fool. I was a fool.
So they commissioned Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann to write Teenager in Love. I remember Mort playing the song, and I'm thinking, oh God, where do these people think we're at? You know, I was looking to be cool and do some Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry stuff, you know, because the people I was listening to, it wasn't wimpy like that. It wasn't West Coast like Beach Boys, Ricky Nelson, good guy stuff. It was more like I Wonder Why I had an attitude and a half. You know, it was right out of my backyard because it was so wimpy, so to speak. But the Belmonts started doing this ooh-wah-ooh behind, and I knew it right away. It had such a sound that I started just skipping over that blanket of ooh-wahs, you know. It just felt so comfortable to just sing the lyric on it, so I did. It had such a sound, we knew it was a hit.
Each time we have a quarrel, it almost breaks my heart, 'cause I'm so afraid that we will must I be a teenager in love? One day I feel so happy, the next day I feel so sad. I guess I'll learn to take the good with the bad. 'Cause each night I ask the stars up above, why must I be a teenager in love? I cried a tear for nobody but you. I'll be a lonely one if you should say we're through. Well, if you want to make me cry, that won't be so hard to do. And if you should say goodbye, I'll still go on loving you. Each night I ask the stars up above, why must I be a teenager in love? Why must I be a teenager in love?
Teenager in Love was written by Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann and made number 5 on the charts in 1958 for Dion and the Belmonts. Also riding high that year were the Everly Brothers, a profound influence on aspiring teen idols Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel.
The Everlys were just plain great. I mean, what can you say? They were just so superb. If you loved music, you had to love their accuracy, their hipness. I think I was an Everly Brother fan in the middle of the intro to Bye Bye Love the first time I heard it, and they hadn't even started singing yet. Just chunga chunga chunga. Right there, I said, what's this? So that was galvanizing, the wonderful Everly Brothers.
Bye-bye love, bye-bye happiness, hello loneliness, I think I'm gonna cry. Bye-bye love, bye-bye sweet caress, hello emptiness, I feel like I could die. Bye-bye, my love, goodbye.
When the Everly Brothers record first appeared, I mean, they became our model. In those days, the majors, the big record companies, didn't record rock and roll. So it was up to these little labels to record the local groups. And Art and I used to go, when we were 14 years old, we would go around to the record companies and knock on the door and go in and audition. I mean, that's how easy it was. You could knock on the door and come in, there would be a secretary there. It'd be like an office of maybe 2 rooms. And we'd say, well, we write songs and we sing. And they'd say, oh, well, yeah, let's hear it. So you'd take out my $25 guitar and we'd stand up and sing. And I think we even signed a recording contract when we were 14 years old. We never made a record. We didn't make a record till a year later when we were 15. And when we made the record, I'm sure my parents were just shocked that we actually made a record and that the record came out and was on the radio. And the record became a hit.
Ooh, Papa Lucha Pop, you're mine. Say, ooh, Papa Lucha Pop, you're mine. Hey, schoolgirl in the second row. The teacher's looking over, so I gotta whisper way down low. Say, ooh, Papa Lucha Pop, let's meet at the school after 3. She said, hey, babe, but there's one thing more. Our school is over at 4:30. Maybe when we're older now we can date. Ooh, let's wait. Hey, schoolgirl in the second row. The teacher's looking over, so I gotta whisper way down low. Papa Lucha Pop, let's meet after school at 3. She said, hey, babe, I got a lot to do. It takes me hours when my homework's through. Someday we'll go steady, so don't you fret. Ooh, not yet.
Hey Schoolgirl by Tom and Jerry, alias Simon and Garfunkel. The teen scene of the late 50s was dominated by the publishers and promoters of New York's Tin Pan Alley, and the high turnover of artists and material helped plenty of wannabes to learn their craft.
Now let's see if you can act humble in front of the press.
Okay. Oh, I'll never replace Elvis.
All right.
He's the king.
All right,
boy.
all right already. Don't overdo it.
Here's Paul Simon again.
I was doing hundreds of demos, most of which were just awful. You know, I mean, it's just an imitation of whatever the hit was. If some publisher wanted to, like, get the next Frankie Avalon single, they would have a bunch of songs that were exactly like the last Frankie Avalon single, and they would hire me and tell me to sing like Frankie Avalon, or Dion, for example, playing the guitar and singing the background parts. That's how I acquired those skills.
I'll soar away. There goes the Lone T Ranger. Oh, he rides around on a big white horse. He's as cool as he can be. And my baby fell in love with him when she saw him on TV. And since that day, I'm sorry to say, she hasn't had time for me, 'cause he goes bang, bang. He's the Lone T Ranger.
Jerry Landis, another alias of Paul Simon, with the Lone Teen Ranger. The Philadelphia brand of teen idol was more often than not signed to the Cameo Parkway label, which enjoyed close ties with Dick Clark's nationally syndicated American Bandstand TV show. A&R director Dave Apple.
Back in the late 50s, early 60s, I guess during Dick Clark era TV and the exposure it meant to recording artists and records, the appearance of an artist meant an awful lot. You can get by really with not really being a great artist as long as the image was there. And that era brought along artists like Frankie Avalon, Fabian, who was literally a kid sitting on a street corner and somebody walked along and said, "Hey, you look great, you want to record?"
Hey, how can we be sure the girls are going to scream at me?
Ah, don't worry, will you, kid? I got a screaming machine right here.
Yeah?
It replaces a teenage audience. We put it in the back of the auditorium, push the button, Panicsville. Here, listen. Will you get out of that drummer's lap?
Wow, you bent my cymbal, man.
Now, here's some variations. Whoops, wrong crowd.
I think in those days, they had I hate to use this expression, but they had to bury the artists, so to speak. Musically, I'm talking, you know. When I mean that, I say you find a song, a great song, and get a great background and have everybody really kicking and hocking away and let the guy sing, that's all, you know. In other words, you're not featuring the artist, you're featuring the song and the band, you know, and he's just more or less a little sweetening there, you know.
Another star to benefit from TV tie-ins was Ricky Nelson.
It's late, we gotta get on home. It's late, we've been gone too long, too bad. We should have checked our time, can't phone. We done spent every dime. It's late, we're about to run out of gas. It's late, we gotta get home fast, can't speak. We're in a slow down zone, oh, baby, look at that clock. Why can't it be wrong? If we could have left home at 8:45, would have had fun and plenty of kind. We got started just a little bit late. Hope this won't be our last day. Look up, is that the moon we see? Can't be. Looks like the sun to me. Yeah, it's late. I hate to face your daddy, too bad. I know he's gonna be mad. It's late. We gotta get on home. It's late. We've been gone too long.
My family had a show, a radio show, and I started on that. And then went into television from there. It was like a family situation type show. And I wanted to make a record, so I made a record. And much to everybody's surprise, in about a week it had sold 1 million records, you know. People didn't realize the power that television had, really, the exposure that it had over there until that record. You know, I remember I sang the record, it was in a gymnasium. And it was supposedly at a dance, and I remember seeing films of it, and I had on a black tuxedo and a tie, and I looked down and I had white sweat socks and brown loafers. Happened to be my dress at that time.
There'll never be anyone else but you for me. Never ever be, just couldn't be anyone else but you. If I could take my pick of all girls I've ever known, then I'd come and pick you out to be my very own. There'll never be anyone else but you for me. Never ever be, just couldn't be anyone else but you. I never will forget the way you kiss me. And when we're not together, I wonder if you miss me, 'cause I hope and pray the day will come when you belong to me. Then I'm gonna prove to you how true my love can be. There'll never be anyone else but you for me. Never ever be, just couldn't be anyone else but you.
Ricky Nelson was one of the rare breed of teen idols with staying power, notching up 17 top 10 hits between 1957 and 62. Another was Bobby V, whose first break came as a result of Buddy Holly's death. His band depped at the dance Buddy would have played if his plane hadn't crashed. The Holly connection was not lost on his producer, Snuff Garrett.
Someone brought me a tape of a boy, and he reminded me of Buddy. He sounded like Buddy to me. So I'd signed Bobby and started recording him. I tried to pick up with him where I thought Buddy would have left off. He kind of looks down back on the success that he had. He feels that I marked him in a way that he'll never be able to come back from, as a teenage pop singer style pretty boy guy who, sings 2 or 3 voices. In fact, Bobby told me one time, he said, God, when I go on the road, everybody thinks I'm a chorus, because we used to overdub his voice 2 or 3 times. But I never thought about that. My only concern was his recording career, and my job with him was to sell records, and that's what I was out to do.
My intentions were different than Snuffy's. I was 16 years old, and I think Buddy Holly was probably my second inspiration after Elvis Presley, and happened to have been my favorite singer at the time, and I was very impressionable, and our band did all of the Buddy Holly and the Cricket songs, so it was subliminal as far as I was concerned, but there's no question that I did sound like Buddy Holly.
My tears are falling 'cause you've taken her away. And though it really hurts me so, there's something that I've got to say. Take good care of my baby. Please don't ever make her blue. Just tell her that you love her. Make sure you're thinking of her in everything you say and do. Take good care of my baby. Now don't you ever make her cry. Just let your love surround her. Ain't a rainbow all around her. Don't let her see a cloudy sky. Once upon a time, that little girl was mine. If I'd been true, I know she'd never be with you. So take good care of my baby. Be just as kind as you can be. And if you should discover that you don't really love her, just send my baby back home to me. Well, take good care of my baby. Be just as kind as you can be. And if you should discover that you don't really love her, just send my baby back home to me.
Bobby V. By far the largest company to emerge out of the teen idol boom was Alden Music, founded by Al Nevins and Don Kirshner, which perfected the art of the 3-minute teenage opera. Kirshner employed the young songwriters who, like Paul Simon we heard from earlier, were hawking their wares down Broadway with only sporadic success. Alden nurtured the talents of, among others, Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, Jerry Goffin and Carole King, Neil Sedaka and Howie Greenfield. Many of the young songwriters at Alden, hungry for their first hits, modelled themselves on the acknowledged masters of the genre, Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, and Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann, who had cut hits on Elvis Presley and the Drifters, among a host of others. One of Goffin and King's customers was Tony Orlando.
Carole and Jerry hadn't had a hit yet, hadn't written a hit or produced a hit or even been on a hit of any kind. And when I got to the office, they had written 2 songs, both songs. As I remember Carole saying, we tried to go in and write a Save the Last Dance for Me. Now it's interesting, right? Both songs were Halfway to Paradise and Will You Love Me Tomorrow. Chord-wise, they're very similar to Save the Last Dance for Me, but melodically, there's no comparison. But in her head, she thought she was writing a Pomus and Schumann kind of song.
You can dance, every dance with the guy who gives you the eye, let him hold you tight. You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand neath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me.
We then went in and recorded Bless You and Will You Love Me Tomorrow and Some Kind of Wonderful and Halfway to Paradise. And Jerry kept insisting that I do this Benny King hum, you know. And throughout the whole session, he just kept saying, okay, Tony, now don't forget every time there's a space, man, put that hum in there.
I want to be your lover, but your friend is all I stay. I'm only halfway to paradise, so near yet so far away. I long for your lips to kiss my lips, but just when I think they may, you leave me halfway to paradise, so near yet so far away.
Halfway to Paradise, a top 40 entry for Tony Orlando in 1961. But many of Alden's biggest successes were to come with the girl group sound from groups such as the Shirelles, the Chiffons, the Ronettes, and the Crystals.
Well, he walked up to me and he asked me if I wanted to die. He looked kinda nice and so I said I might take a chance. When he danced he held me tight, and when he walked me home that night, all the stars were shining bright, and then he kissed me. So things he liked to do, like walking in the rain and wishing on the stars up above and being so in love. One fine day, you'll look at me, and you will know I was meant to be. One fine day, you're gonna want me for your girl. Oh, I know you're the kind of boy who only wants to run around. I'll keep waiting, and someday, darling, you'll come to me when you want to settle down. Oh, one fine day, we'll meet once more, and then you want to love you the way before. One fine day, you're gonna want me for your girl. Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. Mama said, Mama said, Mama said, Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. My mama said, Mama said, Mama said. I went walking the other day and everything was going fine. I met a little boy named Billy Joe, and then I almost lost my mind. Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this. My mama said.
The girl groups did not really happen with any importance, with any kind of real vim and vigor until the Shirelles came out. The Shirelles had a different kind of sound. Well, here was the first girl group that came out that was a little different, a little excitement. Their records were good, the lyrics were fun, and it caught on. It was very easy to sing. I remember the first time I heard girl groups, I mean, like, I heard the Shirelles, like, Will You Love Me Tomorrow, Soldier Boy. I remember listening to them, and I was able to hum or whistle or sing along with them almost the first time they sang the song. When you have something like that, you get that magic, you know you got yourself a hit.
New York DJ Cousin Brucey may have been sure of the sound the writers and producers were after, but Shirley Alston, the Shirelles' lead singer, took a lot of persuading to perform Will You Love Me Tomorrow?
I said, well, gee, it's a nice lyric and everything. I said, but I don't think it's for me. I said, it's not my style. I said, it's more like on the country flavor, you know. And I said, we can't do country. You know, I said, we can't switch to country music now. I said, what's going to happen? You know, I started to get nervous. And I'm saying, no, we can't do it, you know. And he says, this is a good song, Shirley. I said, well, look, I don't think so. I don't think I want to do this song. So he said to me, called me to the side, he said, look, he says, can you do me a favor? He said, I promised the girl a favor. He says that he says, can you do me a favor and just sing the song? We'll put it in a session. If it doesn't come out well, we won't release it. You know, we'll put it in an album or something. I said, okay.
Tonight you're mine completely. You give your love so sweetly. Tonight the light of love is in your eyes. But will you love me tomorrow? Is this the last thing
Jerry Goffin remembers what prompted him to write the song.
Well, I heard that many times before from girls that I was trying to sleep with in those days. Sort of saying, you won't respect me in the morning, we'll hate ourselves in the morning, you know.
It came to life at the session. I thought it was, when I heard the music and everything, it was good. But you have to realize I only had heard Carol sing it, and she sang it kind of laid back and, with the piano. There was no strings and all this, all the other music. To me, it sounded a little more like on the countryside. I just thought it wasn't for us.
How wrong can you be? Will You Love Me Tomorrow was a U.S. #1 in 1961. Of songwriters and those in the legendary Brill building across Broadway seemed to be specializing in husband and wife songwriting teams. There were already Goffin and King and Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. Soon there was a third, Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich.
I met him on a Monday and my heart stood still. They do run, 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 they do run, run. Somebody told me that his name was Bill. They do run, 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 they do run, run. They do run, 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 they do run, run. Knew what he was doing when he caught my eye. They do run, 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 they do run, run. He looked so quiet, but my, oh my. They do run, 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 they do run, run. Yes, he caught my eye. Yes, my, oh my. And when he walked me home, they do run, 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 they do run, run.
Barry and Greenwich enjoyed their greatest successes with Phil Spector productions of their songs, such as Be My Baby and To Do Ron Wrong, which they wrote for Spector and his business partner, Lester Sill, who recalls Spector's early days as a protege of Lieber and Stoller.
Spector was at that point very curious about sound, and he absorbed it like a sponge. In his later records, particularly in a record that he did with us, I Love How You Love Me, the Paris Sisters. I gave Phil that project. Someone brought the Paris Sisters to me. I heard them sing, and then remembered Phil's record of To Know Him is to Love Him, and I felt that Phil would be good to produce the Paris Sisters for us. Even though it's a mono record, there's a dimension about that record. There's a sound dimension about that record.
I love how your eyes close whenever you kiss me, and when I'm away from you, I love how you miss me.
aside from what I feel was his great talent for picking good songs, when we would have 30 strings, he would know if one string was wrong. Plus, he was very tenacious. Phil lived with me for 3 years, and he'd wake me up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, listening to the records over and over again at a very low level. I Love How You Love Me must have remixed the strings 30 times before he felt it was right, then listened to it for 4 or 5 days before he was sure it was right. And when finally the record was pressed, he would listen to the pressing for 2 or 3 days before he would give it an approval.
I love how your eyes close whenever you kiss me, and when I'm away from you, I love how you miss me. I love the way your touch is always heavenly, but darling, most of all, I love how you love me. I love how you hug me. I love how you squeeze me, tease me, please me, love how you love me. I love how you love me.
He absorbed the sounds and learned everything that he felt he wanted to learn with us at that point, and then came to me one day and said he felt that he would like to go to New York and could I help to set him up. Well, at that point, Lieber and Stoller lived in New York, and they said, yeah, Phil could work with them there and sleep in the office.
Lester Sill. The early 60s were the golden age of teen pop. The songwriters, producers and publishers had between them created a network of hit factories whose output and quality control were consistently high. One such company was Lieber and Stoller's Red Bird Records, established in 1964. Jerry Lieber.
We had the record company at the time. We had Red Bird Records, so we had always had an outlet for our material. That's when we got involved with these teams of young producer writers that we were grooming to do things. The business was at a place where, I guess in a way, it was for young people again, very young people. And that's why everything sounded so amateurish, although it had that great vitality. And we were, at the time, we were teaching these young teams, God knows how many hours of studio time and tape Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich burnt up before they learned how to make records. But we were teaching Shadow and Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich. They were our students.
The Shadow Jerry Lieber mentioned was George Shadow Morton, a friend of Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich, who discovered the Shangri-Las and produced this for them. And by the way, the piano is played by a very young Billy Joel.
Seems like the other day, my baby went away. He went away, crossed the sea. It's been 2 years or so since I saw my baby go, and then this letter came for me. It said that we were through. He found somebody new. Let me think, what can I do? Oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Remember, walking in the sand. Remember, walking hand in hand. Remember, the night was so exciting. Remember, smile was so inviting. Remember, then he touched my cheek. Remember, with his fingertips. Softly, softly we'd meet with our lips. Whatever happened to the boy that I once knew? The boy who said he'd be true. Oh, what will happen to life I gave to you? What will I do with it now? Remember, walking in the sand. Remember, walking hand in hand. Remember, the night was so exciting. Remember, the smile was so inviting. Remember.
Shadow came in with pieces of an idea. And I spent many hours showing him how to structure and shape this rather bizarre little radio drama. It was also, he did radio dramas, but they were different from ours. His were soap operas and melodramas, and ours were comedies. You know, he had seagulls clacking in the background and surf washing up, but I mean, they were kind of romantic and, you know, teenage romances, right? Had a tremendous amount of raw talent.
Jeff Barry.
We were conscious that we were making soap operas with sound effects. And part of it was the sound effects, whether it be the motorcycle sounds or the scream or the screech of the brakes in one, or a song called The Train from Kansas City, where the train was there. And it was to evoke the imagination that perhaps MTV has eliminated. You know, that it was radio. Well, the Shirelles is basically, I would say, George Shadow Morton's creation. I was looking for a word like vision of some kind. He's a very dramatic guy. And the Shangri-Las were actually 4 girls, 2 sets of sisters, one set of twins and sisters. But I can't say that anyone was exceptionally talented in the group, so much as delivering very different kinds of songs and doing that quite well.
Ellie Greenwich.
By today's standards, they were as innocent as the day is long. By the standards back then, we sort of called them like a street toughness, but with a lot of vulnerability attached to it. So they could either you go, oh, look at Mary White. I mean, sweet, this long, straight hair, this angelic little face, and then this nasal voice comes out, and this little attitude. So you sort of like got the taste of both worlds. Were they tougher than some like perhaps like the Dixie Cups? They were a little harder. They had a harder edge. They also knew they had a look. They knew the response they were getting from audiences, and they played into it.
When you're out with people, do you know what to do?
What to wear, your manners and your attitude too. Now here's a friendly cue for you in good taste.
Hi, this is Mary of the Shangri-Las to tell you a bit about dating courtesy. A girl is right to assume her date will perform little acts of courtesy which are his privilege. If you are smart, you will allow him to open doors and hold chairs. Don't barge on ahead like a baby elephant. You'll get attention all right, but it won't be favorable. It is correct to pause and let him know you expect him to act like a gentleman. He'll love it and think you're a lady, and in return it will flatter his masculine ego.
That was a good taste tip for you. Now here's something else that's good taste too.
When you accept a gift from a boy, show him how much you appreciate it. The mere fact that he gave you one means a lot. Use it as soon as possible. Don't be disappointed that it's not an expensive bauble or the perfume you've been hoping for. It's as wrong to accept a personal, expensive gift from a fellow as it is for him to give one. He probably doesn't want to offend you or risk parental disapproval. As old hat as it may sound, it's still the thought that counts.
So, now you know. The Shangri-Las' biggest and most influential hit was undoubtedly Leader of the Pack, a number 1 in 1965 and reissued on 3 occasions since then. Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich wrote it.
Leader of the Pack was, believe it or not, serious. I mean, there was always that bad guy in the group that every girl wanted to go out with, but no, that wouldn't be nice. Mom and Dad would never allow it. Back in the 60s, when you started making money, a lot of people would end up buying motorcycles. So we figured, we'll take a trend that's happening and we'll make it a boy-girl. Must have that boy-girl love song. And let's give it a sick element. Let's have the guy die.
Mary, who was the lead, was 16 at the time she recorded Leader of the Pack. And I remember getting the performance out of her in the studio. I sat across the mic from her, probably no more than 1.5 feet from her face, and she was looking at me and I was looking at her, and I was mouthing the words with her, and she was crying. She was really built up to the emotion of the song, and tears are coming down her face as she recorded the take that was used. You can hear it in the drama of it in her performance.
Is she really going out with him? Well, there she is. Let's ask her. Betty, is that Jimmy's ring you're wearing? Mm-hmm. Gee, it must be great riding with him. Is he picking you up after school today? By the way, where'd you meet him?
I met him at the candy store. He turned around and smiled at me. You get the picture?
Yes, we see.
That's when I fell for the leader of the pack. My folks are always putting him down.
Down.
They said he came from the wrong side of town.
What do you mean when you say that he came from the wrong side of town?
They told me he was bad, but I knew he was sad. That's why I fell for the leader of the pack. One day my dad said, find someone new. I had to tell my Jim you with.
What do you mean when you say that you better go find somebody new?
He stood there and asked me why, but all I could do was cry. I'm sorry I hurt you, leader of the pack.
He sort of smiled and kissed me goodbye. The tears were beginning to show. As he drove away on that rainy night, I begged him to go slow. Whether he heard, I'll never know.
I felt so helpless, what could I do? Remembering all the things we've been through. In school they all stop and stare. I can't have the tears, but I don't care. I'll never forget him, the leader of the pack.
Leader of the Pack, still sounding as fresh today as when it was made 30 years ago. For music which was considered disposable at the time, the teen sound has survived remarkably well. Ricky Nelson, Bobby V, Dion and all the girl groups are among the most requested artists on oldies stations around the world. But does this surprise Jeff Barry?
I am surprised somewhat, but very, very thrilled at what is now called classic rock and roll. When I see people like Barry and Cynthia and Carole King and Jerry and people from that time period, we kind of look at each other and smile, and it's the unspoken who knew, because this music has become the music of a generation, which we never thought about.
You don't have to sit back and like, what are they saying? What are they trying to say? What is the message? Not that I'm putting those songs down. There's some great ones. But generally just a feeling and a sound and to create a memory for somebody. It's just wonderful. Here I am, what you see is what you get. That's almost what these songs were. I meet you, you meet me, we like each other, I love you, be my baby. Uh-oh, there's a problem, maybe I know he's been cheating, but optimistic. Someday he'll settle down, it'll be fine. There was always like an up, kind of a nice note about things. That kind of music that makes people happy.
When I say I'm in love, you best believe I'm in love, L-U-V. Here comes my guy, walking down the street. Look how he walks to the dancing beat. Da-da-da-da. Thick wavy hair, da-da-da-da. A little too long. All day long, he's singing a song. And when I see him in the street, my heart takes a leap and skips a beat. Gonna walk right up to him, give him a great big kiss. Mwah! Tell him that I love him, tell him that I care, tell him that I'll always be there.
What color are his eyes? I don't know, he's always wearing shades. Is he tall? Well, I gotta look up. Yeah? Well, I hear he's bad. He's good bad, but he's not evil.
Tell me more, tell me more. Big bucket sweater, tell me more. To match his eyes, tell me more. Dirty fingernails, tell me more. A boy with his pride, tight heavy pants, high button shoes. He's always looking like he got the blues. And when I see him in the street, my heart takes a leap and skips a beat. Gonna walk right up to him, give him a great big kiss. Mwah! Tell him that I love him, tell him that I care, tell him that I'll always be there.
Is he a good dancer? What do you mean, is he a good dancer? Well, how does he dance? Close. Very, very close.
The golden age of American teenage music came to an end in the mid-60s, but it had enjoyed a glorious reign following its uncertain beginnings with those boys next door from Philadelphia. Joel Dawn.
Obsolescence is part of the dance, and you can go from being on the top to being on the bottom very quickly. When the British invasion happened and when rock music with a capital R started to happen, the whole scene changed. And not only did the artists disappear, but the producers who produced them and the songwriters who supplied them with material and the managers who managed them and the small record companies who recorded them. So there was a period there where things did not go well.
Although the Beatles and the British invasion may have put paid to the teen sound, many of the groups who crossed the Atlantic chose to cover the songs which had helped to create it. We'll end this edition of The Story of Pop with some of the originals, later destined to be hits for Manfred Mann, The Searchers, and Herman's Hermits.
There he was, just walking down the street singing do-a-dee-dee-dee-down-dee-dee-doo, clapping his fingers and shuffling his feet singing do-a-dee-dee-dee-down-dee-dee-doo. He looked good, yeah, yeah, he looked fine, yes he did. He looked good, he looked fine, and I nearly lost my mind. Before I knew it, he was walking next to me singing do-a-dee-dee-dee-down-dee-dee-doo.
The Story of Pop with Fluff Freeman.